Hello. So we're going to take a look at one of the issues that can happen with a personalized ballistic cam when you're mounting it, and just explain kind of how to recognize what it is that you're experiencing and why. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to remove. Of course, it's going to make this as challenging as possible. So we're going to remove the top cam. Hang with me while I initially loosen this. It's always fun when you need 3 hands to do something and you only have 2. All right, so we're going to loosen the top of this. And on your cam, what you've basically got is a cover that goes over the gearing that you can see here on your coupler. Now what your coupler does is it binds your 2 underlying elevation discs. Now this top one that you can see here that actually has your yardage increments on it, and you'll see it says 0.36 inches per 100 yards. If you have a Z5 or a Z3, it's going to say 0.25 inches per 100 yards. And then underneath that is another disc that has an arrow on it. Now this top disc that says 0.36 or 0.25 inches per 100 yards, that is actually driving the internals in your scope that make it change point of aim, point of impact, up, down, left, right, etc. This underlying disc here is an actual mechanical zero stop. And sorry if I'm making you motion sick doing that, but what you can see is right there above the dot. I'll back that up. Okay, right there above the dot is a tab that hangs down from the underlying elevation disc and from the zero stop disc. And that tab is actually your mechanical zero. And if I rotate that bottom disc independently of the elevation disc, you can see that that tab has actually moved. It used to be right over the dot, now it's off to the right a little bit. So what we usually see is that folks have made an adjustment to their elevation disc, the top disc, and if you're dialing elevation up, the elevation disc will actually drag your zero stop with it as it goes, just from surface friction. And even if you're using your turret tool, it'll go, as you can see, rotating together. If you dial elevation up, it drags that zero stop disc with it, and that drag on the zero stop disc, if it is taken far enough around, will significantly reduce your elevation adjustment unless you correct back. So what happens is your elevation will go, your zero stop will basically come around like this and be, and that tab will be hanged. Oh, I should have used natural light. That's much easier to see. And that tab will be hanging down. Now, if your tab is hanging down here, and you put your coupler back on, like that. And then you put your PVC back on like that. One easy way to tell that this is exactly what you're dealing with is when you start dialing your PVC, it will go about halfway around and then stop. And you won't be able to go any further. And not only that, but your zero stop won't actually be a zero stop. It'll dial below it, as you can see there. Okay. So the way that you correct that is you take your finger and you put it on just the bottom of the two discs, the one that has the arrow, and you spin it in the direction of the arrow until it stops. And you'll know you're in the right spot because once you've rotated it all the way around, make sure I can get this in here. Once you've rotated it all the way around, you'll see that that tab is now lined up directly over this dot.